Hey, Jeremy, why was 2022 such a blur?
I have no idea.
We didn't have a good enough resolution.
Hey everyone, welcome to our Elevation Games Top 10 of 2022. We're going through the top 10 games that were new to us that we played this year. Here at the end of the year, come join us, snuggle up against our fire, drink some hot cocoa, and we're going to talk through our favorite board games of 2022.
Yeah, so these are not in any particular order, but number one new to us in 2022 is One Deck Dungeon.
Yeah, this has been out for a few years now, but we played it for the first time this year, and I think we were both really, really impressed with what's packed into this little box.
Truly, it's one of the smallest game boxes that we own, but there are so many hours of fun and enjoyment in here.
Yeah, and we know lots of folks, especially this time of year, are looking for games that are great for couples. This one is perfect for that.
It really is.
You can play it with 4 people. I believe you need 2 copies of this box to do that. And it works great that way, but just this one little box by itself is a perfect 2-player game.
It is. It also plays really well at 1. But for those couple games, this is pretty high on our list.
Yeah, great, fun gameplay. One of the better examples of inclusion we've seen in game design in a minute. And just all around a really, really great time.
Yep. What's next?
Okay, let's continue our great for 2 players trend with Watergate. This one's a little newer. I think it came out last year, but it was new to us again this year. And again, if you're looking for a game for a couple, that's not going that can deal with a little competition. This is definitely a very head-to-head game, whereas One Deck Dungeon is cooperative. But if you are such a couple, this is a great couples game right here.
It is.
Looks incredibly boring. Not a theme you would think would be great for a board game, but surprisingly works really, really well.
Yeah, it's a great game. It's a great game. All right,
so that's Watergate.
Next on our list of games that were new to us in 2022, this is actually a new in 2022 game. Verdant. So cozy.
Really cozy, beautiful illustrations. Again, a theme you would not think houseplants would make for an exciting game.
Especially for folks like us who can't keep a fake plant alive, much less like these gorgeous plants like you see in here.
Yeah, absolutely. If you do not have a green thumb in real life, you can at least pretend to have one with Verdant here. And again, really deep strategy, and really sort of tense as you place your room together. Things you would not expect when you're talking about a game where you're planting houseplants. Yet there it is. Again, this is what Flat Out Games specializes in, right?
Sure.
They have a history of this, and I think we both think they really knocked it out of the park with this one.
Verdant, great game.
Next up, new to us, but definitely not new, Horrified. I think this one really came out of left field for you.
Yeah. I had never even heard of it. And so then when Jeremy brought it in for us to play this like spooky season, I was a little leery. but have really enjoyed playing this.
Yeah, those of you who watch our channels know we play a lot of the Arkham Horror LCG. We also have the Arkham Horror board game. I honestly think the best way to describe this is Diet Arkham Horror. And not as an insult. It has that same flow to it. I feel like that you get from those games as you're fighting these monsters moving around a spooky town. But much simplified.
I love the board on this game. In particular, it's a map of a city, and while it's nighttime and it's spooky and it's, you know, kind of eerie, it's really bright and vibrant, which I love. Like, if you can take a spooky theme and still, like, add those fun colors in and make it really just, like, pop off your table, that's always a nice bonus.
Yeah. And this is the Universal Monsters version of Horrified that we have here. I think this is the one most people have. But there are a couple of others. I think the original Horrified was not Universal Monsters. It was more just generic monsters.
Oh, okay.
Although, I mean, these are pretty classic monsters included here as well. And then I think they've come out with a couple others. In fact, I think there might be an Appalachian Monsters one that I'm kind of curious about at some point. So
Universal Monsters is great, though.
Yes.
You play with Dracula, you play with Frankenstein. I'm like, who else is here? The Invisible Man, a mummy. It's pretty rad to, like, see these classic horror movies come to life on your board.
Yeah, real easy to learn and pick up. Could play with pretty young kids, I think. It's a pretty great family game.
Yeah, it says ages 10 and up.
Yeah. Yeah, just really solid all around. Fun game, especially at the spooky time of year.
Yeah. Let's talk about the next game on our list. And that is Disney Villainous. So this game, not new. We picked it up this year. We've bought a couple of the expansions for Villainous, as well as Marvel Villainous. I have not yet gotten Star Wars Villainous, but man, I want it. This game is super fun. In particular, the miniatures, the way that they're designed on this, they're perfect. You know, like, it's not an exact replica of the villain that you're playing, but it's kind of an artistic rendition of them.
Yeah.
And I think that is so rad and so well done. We've played this with the two of us. We've played it with friends. It's fun at all player counts that we've played so far.
Yeah, no surprise to anyone. After all, it says Disney right on the box. This is a masterclass in graphic design and art for a board game. Truly some of the best I've seen anywhere, period. It really is impressive. Again, it says it's Disney. Of course it is.
Yeah, I'm surprised Disney would do something so creative and magical.
Let's just wait until that card game of theirs comes out. This one is already sucking money out of people's pockets, including ours, because it has so many expansions. But the expansions are, I think, worth it. They do add a lot. You usually get, I think, 3 more new villains with each one. Each character plays completely differently. They all have their own goals, their own mechanics. It's really impressive what they've managed to do with this thing.
Yeah, and it's, you know, when it comes to Disney IP, they have this whole, you know, books of villains that just always get kind of pushed to the side, or, like, you know, the princess or the queen are the ones that get pulled into the forefront. So it's nice to see these characters come in, be a little more developed, and you get to play as Captain Hook or Maleficent or Ursula, which is pretty rad. It's a neat concept.
Yeah. Really solid. No surprise to anyone, these games are hugely successful. There's a reason they're stacked up at every target around the planet. But it was new to us this year, and we were very impressed.
Yeah, this is one I think that will stay on our table into 23.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, what's next?
Okay, the opposite of Villainous, but very cozy indeed. Everdell. This one was new to us this year as well, earlier in the year, but it is a really fun, obviously adorable. Again, the art in this is amazing, and yet at the same time, belying the cute theme here, it's a very crunchy, deep tableau builder.
Yeah.
You are building your little towns around the Evertree, going through the seasons, placing your workers. There's a lot, but once you play through one game, I think the rules are pretty sticky and very thematic, and you can pick them up pretty quick. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Don't get fooled by the fact you're playing these cute little woodland creatures. Like, you're playing a hedgehog, but you have to put a lot of strategy into what you're doing with that hedgehog as you're moving it around.
Yeah.
Because the game is like super cute. It looks like something made for kids. But it actually requires a little bit more thought and strategy put into it than you would think when you just see this tree sitting on this gigantic board in the middle of your table, made to look like a little fantasy forest.
Yeah, and I know there are diverging opinions on the tree itself. I like it. Maybe we just haven't played it enough to get annoyed with it yet, but I think it's a brilliant little piece that adds a lot to the table presence of this thing.
I agree. One thing that does help with having the tree on there is to use a standee to set the cards that are on the tree up so you can actually read them instead of having to like lean over and grab them, because that's one of the biggest complaints about the tree, besides the fact it's hard to assemble, is that you can't even see the cards that are on there. So what purpose does it serve? But if there's plenty of height there for you to just pop them up and then you can see and still like have that nice, like that tree just glorious sitting on the top of the board. I love it. We're just adding height instead of just an extra footprint. I think that's a brilliant design.
Also, hot take here.
Oh boy.
I don't think the tree's hard to assemble. I don't know what people are talking about.
Okay, well, we will agree to disagree on this, because I think that the tree is hard to assemble. Part of it is you have to like just really hold your eye just right and be super focused as you're sliding them down. And that's not really my strong suit, but it is kind of more your strong suit, so maybe that's why.
Regardless of the components, the game itself is incredibly solid. It's a lot of fun. We're definitely going to be coming back to this in 23, especially because we have one of the expansions for it. The expansions for this thing also really neat. However, if you get all of them, I think they would take up 2 entire game tables to play. But really, really solid game, really fun. Everdell, a cozy classic.
Right on.
Do you want to continue cozy theme here with Flamecraft?
Oh man. Okay, so this is an actual like new in 22 game.
Mm-hmm.
Flamecraft. When we got it, Jeremy had been talking about this game that he had kickstarted called Flamecraft. I was like picturing dragons and dungeons and fire and kind of like a dark, heavy theme, which we like. And then I see this pastel colored box and was a little shocked by the fact that it is a cozy dragon game. Not at all what I was picturing, but 1,000% better. I love everything about Flamecraft, Jeremy. I love the puns. It's full of puns.
Yes, you need to have a very high pun tolerance to play this game. They are everywhere.
They are. I love the little dragon meeples. And they are these cute colors. They're like these like purples and this really pretty like shade of green and blue, like not what you normally think when you think of like a dragon, like big red scary thing or big green scary thing. They're just so cute. And the player mat, I really like that too, where you can just roll it out and you're ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I would normally, I would say we're pretty against neoprene. It gets used often when it's not really necessary. This is one of the few cases where I've seen it that it actually makes sense. The neoprene playmat for this thing and the fact that you can roll it out actually works really, really well for this.
Everything including like the little elements that you get as you're playing through are just designed really well. Like I don't think anything in this is too big or too small. I think it's all just perfectly right sized. It is really fun playthrough. This one also is for ages 10 and above, and I think that this is a great family game too. We like playing it with the two of us, but this is one I definitely could see us playing with the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, beautiful artwork. Unsurprising. Having to refresh my name on the artist's name here. Sandra Tang. The story behind this is neat. Apparently, she is an artist. She normally illustrates things like you would expect from the name Flamecraft. Big, flaming dragons. Manny Vega, the guy who designed this game, saw her art. She did some sketches with little cute dragons. He saw those and said, hey, let's just make an entire game out of those. And here we are. So, yeah, again, tons of fun, beautiful. This is the base game, which I think has really great components on its own. The deluxe edition has wooden components.
There's a deluxe edition.
Yes.
Is it too late to ask for this for Christmas? I'm just kidding.
So that was going to be my point. Actually, is the components for your different materials, like your metal and your potions and your meat and stuff like that. Those are nice. They're little wooden pieces. The metal coins that you can get, also nice. The deluxe dragons, I actually think I prefer these wooden meeples. To the little plastic, more realistic looking tiny dragons.
Oh yeah. These wooden meeples are absolutely adorable. I find that I make like a little flying sound for it when I'm moving it from place to place. I don't do it purposefully, it just comes out. When I'm moving from the Draco Bell over to the hot cross buns shop, it just as it moves. It's so cute. This game is so cute and really fun to play.
Yep. Another great 2022 edition.
Yep. All right. So the next one that we have is Aeon's End. So this is not a new game. This is a game people are absolutely crazy about, and for good reason. We picked this up. It took us 6 months after we got it to actually take the plastic off and play it. And it kind of makes me sad that 6 months that we could have been playing it, that we missed out on, because this game is absolutely magical. It's a co-op game, which is nice because we like playing co-op games that force us to communicate through it and to play together to succeed in. We've played this, we've won, we've played this, and we've lost. But it's like, when you first start, it feels impossible to beat the monster that you're playing or the enemy that you're playing. And then at the end of it, like, once you start gaining that momentum, then it's just like, this is a train that cannot be stopped. And it's really fun once you start bowling things out of the way.
Yeah, it's got a very similar power curve to one of our favorite games, Spirit Island. Just much quicker. Games of this take a fraction of the amount of time that a Spirit Island game does.
Yeah, it takes about an hour.
Yeah. But this is truly I understand now why there are so many additions and upgrades and expansions for this thing. This is truly one of the best, most well-balanced deck builders that I have ever played. We have up to this point not put these in any order. These are all just our favorite games from 2022. But now that we're into our top 3 here, and we each have a different number 1.
Correct.
I think this just gets edged out for both of us by those number 1s. It is
for sure
really, really strong. This is one we're going to be coming back to a lot, and one that is probably going to suck up a lot of money from us as we purchase expansions.
I'm proud of myself that I haven't purchased any expansions for this yet. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to, because this is fun, and we've played all of the bosses that are in this base box. I don't think there will be any problem in replaying those bosses again.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But because of the way that everything in it is randomized, like it literally comes with a randomizer that you use to choose your assets, your gems, your relics, and your spells. And so you can play so many different versions of the same game. And so that is something that I really like. It makes a game a lot more replayable than it would just be if you had your set things that you were going through set amount of times that you were going to go up against a boss. Like, it actually makes it interesting, and you have to be dynamic. Like, even if you play the same hero every time, the game is different every single time that you play, simply because of those randomizers.
Yeah, absolutely. To relate this to our video game playing folks out there, we have actually backed the Kickstarter for the board game version of Slay the Spire, which we're looking forward to getting next year sometime. This box right here feels very much like that video game. It has sort of that roguelike feeling to it, in that you're randomizing everything. Every time you play, you reset over again. You're getting more powerful as you go, playing a boss that is also randomized every time. They're never going to be the same twice in a row. It really, really gives you that roguelike deck building feeling that is so popular in video games right now. And so it's just, I really cannot recommend this one enough to folks, whether you are big into board games or big into video games. I think either way, you would really, really enjoy this.
Yeah, this is an enjoyable game, regardless. Yeah. So my number 1 game of 2022 is The Lands of Galzyr. I love this game. I wish that I had better adjectives to describe how I feel about this game. I think it's so fun. It has heavy storytelling, which is amazing. It has interesting characters. It has interesting adventures for them to go on. I love the way that it's laid out. I love my character that I play in here, which is a one-eyed polecat named Boomer, who is part of my soul now. This game, to me, is just so well done, so well thought out. I can't imagine all the effort that had to go into building the story around this. And this is a game that we could play for years, I feel like, and never have repeats of anything coming in, which is so rad.
Yeah, I've said this before about this game. It is essentially a DM-less RPG. It's very straightforward. You're moving around the board, having adventures, performing skill checks, rolling dice based on the skills you have, or that your character has. Concepts any RPG player is going to be familiar with, but very streamlined with this really ingenious Rolodex type system for the cards that actually tell you the story. The
Rolodex, Jeremy, is really neat. It makes setting up and putting away the game kind of effortless.
Yeah.
When you think about how many cards you have in here, it's a neat it's a unique storage solution. And also, like, when you're in the midst of the game, it makes it pretty easy to find when you get a new item where you go to pull it out, which is helpful and clever and just really well put together.
Yeah, it's cute. Again, great art. But the writing here is brilliant. You know, this game lives and dies by that writing. If it was not good, this would completely fall flat. But it is so solid. Again, it's app supported, another app supported game, but here it's truly necessary. The storybook that you're pulling your different stories out of has literally hundreds and hundreds of entries in it. It would be as thick as a phone book if they printed it and sent it to you.
Yeah.
So having it in an app completely makes sense. It works really well and smoothly.
We haven't had any issues with the app here.
Yeah.
And this was something that Jeremy kickstarted, so we were, on the front end of people getting it. So usually when you have a whole bunch of people hopping onto an app, those bugs that are in the app that don't come up in testing start floating to the surface pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. But we haven't seen any just yet anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, this thing is a joy to play, truly.
It is. I love it. So this is my number one game of 2022, and this is a new 422 game. This is Jeremy's number 2 game. So, I mean, it's not like I pulled this one up here and I'm like, I love it, and he hates it. This was our top 2 games. We both agreed were the 2 best games that were new to us this year. We just had a small difference of opinion about which one should be in that number 1 slot. So this one is it for me. Any final thoughts on the Lands of Galzyr?
I don't think so. It's great. I think it's available for purchase on their website now.
Yeah.
If this sounds like something you're interested in, I highly recommend grab a copy of this. If you're thinking about exploring more traditional tabletop RPGs, I think this could be a great introduction to a lot of those concepts.
Yeah.
Without having to find a group to play with. So yeah, grab a copy.
Yeah. Grab 2. Get one for you, get one for a friend, because everyone is gonna love it. Alright, so Jeremy, why don't you show us your number 1 game for 2022?
Okay, well, everyone can see it because it's gigantic.
Yeah, I was gonna say lift with your legs.
My favorite game for 2022 is My Father's Work.
Oh my word!
Hopefully y'all have seen us play this on Twitch or YouTube here. Mm-hmm. This game is really, really brilliant. Best components I have ever seen in a game, period. Really amazing, and not just flashy for the sake of it. They make thematic sense.
Yeah.
And that's really where this game shines. The theme here, the Frankenstein mad scientist theme, really holds everything together. This game looks more intimidating than it is. It looks more complex than it is, and don't get me wrong, it has that complexity, but it's actually quite easy to learn and play. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of that is due to the fact that the theme here is so strong and so well married to all of the different components and mechanics. It just makes them stick in your head that much easier. We have played a handful of the scenarios that come with this. We still have more that we haven't even gotten to yet. And again, an app-supported game with a lot of storytelling in it, but a little more going on mechanically than something like Galzyr, which is why this just barely edges Galzyr out for me. But truly, really, really impressive work. one of the best, I think the best game to come out in 2022.
Yeah, completely agree with everything that you're saying here. I like the fact that this game has a heavy storytelling element in it, and that the storytelling evolves the more that you play. So if you sit down and you're playing the Cost of Disease and you immediately play the Cost of Disease again, you're going to play a different game. You're going to have a different story that goes along with that theme. So that, the thought that goes into that, I can't imagine, all of the work that it took to make that happen. The game is brilliant. It's beautiful. Jeremy was not exaggerating about the components. The components are just brilliant on this. This game takes a long time to play.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that you have to keep in mind, is that this is not whereas like Galzyr takes us about 2 hours to play a game of Galzyr.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to take you about 3 hours to get through. They tell you it's going to take a long time to play. So this is not a game to play if you're in a hurry. But if you've got time to sit down and just get lost in a land where you're going through multiple generations of a family trying to accomplish different tasks, whatever your goal is, then like immortality or transfiguration, transmutation, all of these like science terms. If you have the time to like just sit down and get absorbed in this world, this is a great world to get absorbed into.
Yeah,
it's so brilliant.
It really, really is. One slight possible drawback here. This is great at 2 players. We really enjoy playing it at 2 players, but this is a game that really, really benefits by having more people. And if you can get to that max player count of 4, I think that's where it probably really shines. There are...
Sorry.
It's okay. There are things that just simply don't happen as part of the course of a normal scenario if you don't have more players playing.
Yeah, so we've played this, the biggest player count that we've played this at is 3. And so there are, some surprises that come through, choices that you make inside the app. It comes rounds later will pop up, and it will just be like, where did that even come from? When you're playing with 2 players, it's really easy to guess where that came from. And it's still fun with 2 players, but it definitely is a lot more fun when you increase that player count. That also increases your playtime.
Yes, absolutely. And I don't want to oversell that. Again, if all you have to play this with is 2 people, it's still worth it.
Oh yeah, slaps.
This is an expensive box. Don't get me wrong. I think it's worth every penny. You are going to get hours and hours of play out of this thing. And I do think it's worth it even at 2 players. But if you have a situation where you can get 4 folks together to sit down around a table and just really inhabit this world for a day, you're going to get the absolute optimal play experience out of this thing. It's it's a masterpiece as far as I'm concerned.
It's great.
Brilliant on so many levels, and really the best example maybe I have ever seen of marrying your theme for the game to the mechanics and the components and everything else.
It's top to bottom.
Yeah. So there you go, folks. Our favorite games, our top 2 and more, our top 10 total. But our favorite games of 2022. You're not going to go wrong with any of these. And you're definitely not going to go wrong with either of these. We are not sponsored by Renegade or Snowtail. So this is just our opinion.
I mean, we could be.
Yeah. So that's it. That's been our 2022 in board games. it's crazy to think back on the fact that and this isn't everything we played in 2022.
No.
So it's crazy to think about all of the new games we were introduced to this year.
Yeah. So many good ones.
Yeah. So that's it from us. Signing out for this year. Wishing you and yours lots of board gaming fun in the year to come.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for sticking with us. We'll have some more exciting stuff as we head into 2023. And we hope to see you guys then.
Have a great new year, y'all.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.